Hello everybody and welcome to my Project Life Thursday video. Don't worry, my camera will stop shaking in just a few seconds. We're going to dive right back into my Project Life family album, and the first thing we're going to do is just take a look at where we are. It's been a couple weeks since I worked on this project, and so I knew that I needed to kind of figure out where everything was. I have my May photos that I'm going to drop in. That's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to work on May. But sometimes it's always nice to take a really quick assessment of where everything is. I also realized that I need to do my April journaling, and then this page was broken. It was, I don't know what happened to it, but it was broken. So I knew I needed to change that over. I've also already set up my June pages. So that was, I think, my very last video. I'll try to remember to stick a card in here for you so that if you didn't catch that video, I put together my June pages. And then the other thing that I need to do is remove all of July through December pages and put them in the next album. So I do 2 albums per year. I do one that is January through June, the end of June. And then I do one that is July through December. In a perfect world, I totally wish that 1 year would fit in one album, but because I love this project so much, it is my favorite project that I do with memory keeping is our family album. I never want to limit myself to what I want to put in the album or how I want to do things, and so I just accept the fact that it takes me 2 albums to do. And then I also have just always known that I have a space in my office. If you have not seen my office cleanups or tours, then you will want to check that out. I always knew that I wanted basically a wall of albums. It was the first piece of furniture or design that I put into my office, knowing that that would fill up. The other thing is once the kids move out, they will take their albums and that will free up space. And then once I don't have kids living with me, maybe our albums will be smaller and maybe they will fit into one album. But for the time being and the last few years, I've always had 2. So I also realized that I need to do my April journaling, which I will do. And then here is May. So I sort of skipped over May, set up June, and then skipped April's journaling. And so here we are kind of right in the middle of what things I need to do. So what I'm going to do is I already have my May photos. I print my photos at Walmart because my Walmart happens to have really good quality. I used to print at Walgreens. That is what I would do. I would upload. I used to print actually weekly, and I would upload every Friday, and then my husband would pick my photos up on his way home from work. And I loved Walgreens for a long time, but then they started leaving their photos in their machine, and I would get them and they would be bent, like they would be curved, and I didn't like that. And so I started getting them printed at Walmart, and my Walmart has really great quality. I also always upload to Snapfish. So snapfish.com is also a place that I use to, in a way, back up my photos. It's like my third place of backing up my photos. And so I always upload to Snapfish, and then I get them printed through Walmart. Right here, I'm just going through my photos to begin with and pulling out photos that are everyday photos, and then the photos that I'm going to use to tell some other stories for that month. I'm going to use this Reaching Out paper pad. It is from Jen Hatfield, and I just pulled out some pages that actually matched the Ali Edwards product for the month. You guys know I always start with that. I grab my Ali Edwards Stories by the Month product, and then I match my paper or the other items I'm going to use to the Ali Edwards kit most of the time. I would say 99% of the time that's what I do. So I pulled the paper that I'm going to use. I have my Ali Edwards product, and then I have my everyday photos. I have a set of photos that are outside, floral, flower, trees kind of stuff. And then I have some kitchen work we were doing. We were painting and redoing some cabinets in the month of May. And then I also have some photos of Andrew doing some yard work, and then some photos of Violet I took. So those photos right there are going to be a normal traditional layout. I'm going to try to get that done and edited for you tomorrow for my Friday video. So hopefully you'll see those tomorrow. And then the rest of these photos are going to go into my album. So if you're brand new to my videos, the way that I do Project Life is I do it monthly. So I have a design A on the right side and the left side of the page. And those are photos that are just everyday moments, photos that I snap just of us really doing ordinary everyday stuff. And then in between the two design A pages, I have a calendar, which you see right there. That calendar will have just some fun things on it. I've done stamping on it. That's what I've been doing this year. You can probably see some videos of me doing that. On the back side of that calendar, it holds any memorabilia that I want, cards, receipts, movie tickets, anything like that that I just want to keep. That's where that will go. Or sometimes I will do a traditional layout on the back of that if I don't have anything to go there. And then anything that is extra or stories that I want to focus on will go in between the two design A photo page protectors, and then that way I can do some stories and focus on some different things. And then that's the way my month works. So here are the Ali Edward cards and products that I'm going to be using. I loved the chipboard. There was a chipboard that said around the house, which I'm going to use for the kitchen work that we were doing. And then there's one chipboard piece that says, I think it says like in the garden or something, or around the garden, something like that. And I'm going to use for those flower photos. And then I'm going to have quite a few different sizes of page protectors, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. So I'm going to cut down my designer paper. I end up using this floral piece quite a bit. The yellow in Ali Edwards kit is a little bit brighter than the yellow in the paper, but that's going to be fine. I decided to cut up this card. I normally don't use this card that has the month on it. And I thought I was going to use the May to put on the title card. I end up not doing that, but I wanted to leave this in because sometimes things don't work out. Like sometimes things don't look the way you think they're going to look. I ended up messing this card up a little bit where I trimmed it and it was too close to the words, and then I didn't really like the way it looked. I end up liking what I did better, but I just thought I would leave this in here so you could see the process of sometimes you just have to try things and see how it looks, or, you know, the yellow was a little bit off. Like I said, the yellow in the Ali Edwards kit is a little bit brighter than my pattern paper. So it just didn't work. The other thing I wanted to mention is my pattern paper. A couple years ago, I did a big clean out of my pattern paper where I went through all of my pattern paper. I got rid of a lot of it, and then I also updated it. Sometimes we have pattern paper and it's, you know, we have a lot of it. I love pattern paper. It's one of my favorite things for paper crafting. But sometimes we outgrow designs. And I just was at a place where I wanted to update the paper that I had on hand. So I went through all of my paper, decided what I liked, what I didn't like. And then I went on scrapbook.com. I ordered some new paper pads, some of the larger ones, like the one I'm using today is one of the Jen Hatfield paper pads. And then I also picked up a couple at like Joann's or Hobby Lobby, Michael's, anything like that. I just didn't go crazy with the paper pads that are really large where you can get like 180 sheets and they're not the best quality. I tried to be careful and not get a bunch of those. And then, so I don't have I would say I have a lot on hand, but I don't have as much as I used to. And so narrowing down how I want to use my paper is a little bit easier. I really like the way I used the May card in the kit. You're going to see that I use that in another spot, which really ends up working out really well. And I actually wish that I would have had the idea at the beginning so I could have been more careful with the way I was using that card. But I just cut a strip of it. I'm going to put it in the middle of that pattern paper, and then I'm going to use these circles and I'm going to stamp the word May. You're going to see that coming up. So I wanted to use these circles, and it always gives me so much joy when I can use a product and use it all up. And I will end up using all of these circles, which will be awesome. So I'm just starting with an alphabet stamp set that I have. I think this is a close to my heart one. I don't know if it's still available. A lot of my close to my heart stuff is retired items that I've had, or that I have a friend that does close to my heart. She sends me stuff oftentimes. So I don't know if this is still available, but you can look at their alpha. Close to my heart always has a lot of really great alphas. Also, Allie Edwards has some great alphabet stamps that are sort of like this. Any of those would work. So I just wanted to stamp May, and I'm using my Wild Wheat ink pad from Stampin' Up. It really matched this paper really well. Again, I think I've talked about this in the last couple weeks. The Stampin' Up inks and cardstock always seem to match a lot of the stuff that's on the market really well. I usually do not have any issues finding ink and cardstock to match other items. I'm taking that stamp and I'm just rubbing it on my hand to season it. This is a stamp set that I had not used. And sometimes with these clear stamps, the photopolymer stamps, when you have not used it, sometimes the ink will pull up on the ink. The ink will pull up on the stamp itself, and then you stamp it and it looks a little blotchy. That is because there is a coating on these stamps, and sometimes it will not soak into your stamp set as well. So by taking and rubbing it on your hand, taking a sand eraser to it or a emery board and lightly scuffing it up will season it, and it allows the ink to soak into your stamp, and then it will give you a better impression. Never worry if your stamps get stained. That is perfectly normal, and that's what's supposed to happen to them. And I personally like it when my stamps are stained because it means I'm using them. It means that I'm actually coming in and using the product. I never want my product to look, you know, perfectly clean and not stained and not used, because it just means I'm not using it, and I would rather see that I'm using it. So I'm just trimming this down, and I was using my little tiny trimmer, so I just kept trimming a tiny bit off to get it perfect instead of measuring it. And then because I want to get the placement of these circle stickers right or even, I'm going to take a little bit of foam. I'm going to stick that on the back of the sticker, and then that's going to allow me to move things around the card without sticking it down. And I just put a couple strips on here, and it worked out totally fine. I'm going to use one of the pieces of chipboard to go right underneath May, and that's going to work out perfectly. I really love the way this came out. I loved using the stickers this way, and I didn't plan out the way I would use these circle stickers in the project this month, and I ended up using all of them, and one of them I threw away because I stamped on it weird, like the stamping was weird on it, and I just so happened to have exactly enough to do what I ended up wanting to do. I'm using my grid mat to line things up and just see if this is going to work. You can see that really nothing is glued on here yet, and I do enjoy making sure things are a little bit more lined up by not gluing them down first, and just shopping them around and figuring it out, and then adding adhesive at another time. If you're totally fine with things not maybe lining up perfectly, or I tend to be a little bit of a perfectionist with that, you can always just stick them down. And see, if I would have stuck them down right away, it would have been a little bit off. The other thing is that by adding a little bit of foam, I'm going to be able to overlap these and then add the chipboard right underneath it. And I love the way that looked. That worked out perfectly. So that will be my title card, and you can see it's all finished now, so I'm going to drop that in. I don't like to spend a huge amount of time on my title cards, but for the most part I don't, so I didn't mind spending a little bit more time on these. So now I'm just going to sprinkle these everyday photos. I'm going to sprinkle them onto both of these, the left side and the right side on this design A. And they're just photos, like this was Kayla and I. We had gone shopping and had gone to Chick-fil-A. It's summertime. It was right the start of summer. The kids were still in school at this point, but it was like just the start of school was winding down. We were playing a lot of games. We like to do that a lot at our house. Play board games and do puzzles and that kind of thing. So there's a few photos there. I'm going to add the floral paper to different places. I ended up having a little bit of this left over. I did have another full sheet of it, but I really didn't want to chop up another 12 by 12 sheet of the floral paper. So I was trying to use up all of that one sheet and leave the other sheet in that pack so that I could do other projects. And then just a picture of one of my friends, her little boy. I was out visiting and I snapped a picture. These are just really everyday kind of photos. And then for May, for the calendar, again, I want to add a little bit of this designer paper. I don't end up stamping my calendar yet. I will go back and I will do that. But I did want to add a few of the pieces to the calendar, so that's already done. So when I come back to do the stamping, that's literally all I'll have to do is the stamping, and then it'll be done. So I cut a few pieces off of this pattern paper, and then I flagged the end, and I'm just using the one end I already flagged, and then I'm using that as a guide to flag the other one so that they match. Again, I am really matchy. So then I will put these at the top and at the bottom, and that gives it enough design and fun for the calendar. And then I'll just do all of my stamping, and I will add the things that we did. So the calendar, I know I've gotten questions about why I do a calendar, or like, is it counterproductive or not really important, or, you know, like just not understanding really why I do it. I don't put down every single thing that we do. Like, this is not a calendar where like I'm going back and looking at our iCalendar and like copying every single thing down. Like, I don't do like all of my husband's work hours or that kind of thing. It really is just a way to have something fun in my album here that shows kind of an overview of our month, like dentist appointments. Like, I'm not scrapbooking about our dentist appointments. I'm not putting like layouts in here about like, that's right, it's not that important. It's not that fun. Like, so I'll put down there like dentist appointments, or if my husband happens to work a 12, or like if there's a holiday like the 4th of July and we went and saw fireworks or that kind of thing, it's just a way to jot something down that is fun. So on here, I realized that I cut the paper a little bit too short. So instead of doing it to where it could just slip in, it was a little bit too short, but I didn't want to waste that paper. So I just added a little bit of adhesive and I attached it to the middle of the calendar. So there's a little bit of a white border on either side, and that worked out fine. That way I didn't need to waste that designer paper. Using the liquid glue always gives you a few minutes to move things around and line things up, and it ended up working out fine. I love this pattern. It really goes with like the home feel of the paper. And then also that's what we did in May. My mom was here. It was kind of May was kind of the moment before everything hit the fan. Like, it was like probably the middle of May where everything kind of fell apart and we just dealt with a lot of deaths in our family and around us, and the end of school was not fun. And so it was like the calm before the storm here at the beginning of May. And Esau had vacation, and we were doing some things around the house. And like I said, my mom was here. So this paper really fit perfectly. And this kit from Ali Edwards was really perfect. That does not always happen. The kits are not always exactly perfect for what's happening in our life, but I certainly will take it when everything works out with your product and it's perfect. So here are some more of those designs. I'm going to use that house design is what I'm going to use. And I'm going to trim off the very top of it. And then I'm going to cut my cards. And then that way it's not perfectly, like there's like some of the houses are cut off. I just wanted that, I wanted that look. And then some of the pieces of chipboard are going to go perfect on these houses. And I'll do this on 2 of these pieces. So I'll do the circle on that one, and that's going to work out perfect. This color was not, this circle chipboard, I didn't love it. It wasn't like my favorite piece, and I thought maybe I wouldn't use it, but then it worked out really well to do on this card. Like I said, the colors worked pretty well. So the chipboard for Ali Edwards does not have adhesive on the back of it anymore. So I'm just going to add some adhesive. And then I will do all of my journaling. I'll probably do all of my April and May journaling together so that I can do that on the computer and on sticker paper. And that will work out great. And I'll do that. So I'll fill out the May 3 things, and then this card here, and then some of the other journaling that I will need to do. Again, I used the floral piece. That was sort of the piece that I picked to go throughout the month of May. It's what tied everything together. So that's another tip for you, is to pick a design, a piece of paper, a stamped image, a color, specifically if you're doing this by the month, that you can carry throughout the whole month, and it will help tie everything together. You will find that everything tends to fall into place a little bit better when you have something that's anchoring it. So I added another one of those house cards, like I cut it down to 3x4, and then I'm going to add this document today. And instead of doing it in the middle of the card like I did the circle, I'm going to do it a little bit lower, and it's going to go between the 2 lines of houses. And I don't know, that gave me so much joy. Like when I put this down, it just makes me so excited the way it fits together and the color coordinates. And I love that it says documenting today, because these are just our everyday photos and our everyday moments. So I love that. When I go to put it in this pocket, you're going to see that I pull the card that's behind it out a little bit. And you can see that there is that twine that is wrapped around that card. And the way that I do that is I add Scotch tape, like just clear tape, to the sides of the twine so that it will go in the pocket and not make the twine lift. So I had to pull that other card out a little bit to get my card in there, and then I just pushed the other side of the card down. But if you're using ribbon or twine and you want it to go around the entire 3x4 card or the 4x6 card, and it's on the edges of the pocket, just put a little bit of clear tape on there, and then that will help it slide into the pocket and you won't mess up that twine or that ribbon. And then on this card here, this photo here, I want to put this in the middle. This was Kayla turning in a application. It was the first time that she's turned in a job application. And Esau had taken her to this place to turn in the application. And you can see on this card that he's on this photo that he's pretty far back, and you see the floor is white. And so I wanted to trim that down and put that in the middle, like as a 3x4 photo. I wanted to back it on some paper, but I trimmed it so that the floor of the where they're standing, that white part, I can journal on that. And I will just do that with a slick writer or some sticker paper. We'll go over that, but I wanted to leave that spot for journaling. And I might ask her like how she felt or if she was nervous or what she was thinking, and then put that into journaling and then add that to the bottom of the floor. That is a great space for either an embellishment or journaling. So I often like to do that. You could do it in like Photoshop, or if you wanted to do it like on the actual computer and do it digitally and then have your photo printed out, you could do that. I'm just not always great about thinking about that stuff before I'm in the middle of putting everything together. So now that the main parts of May are done, I went and grabbed a bunch of different page protectors, and I was thinking about how I wanted them to layer and how they would look in my album. One of my favorite things about Project Life is the way you can layer together all of the different page protectors. And so I picked out several that I'm going to use. This one is just a regular design. It's a design A that's cut in half. I oftentimes will do that, just cut a design A in half, and then you get this 6x12 pocket with 2 4x6s and 2 3x4s. I needed a spot for some extra everyday photos, so that's what this pocket is, and it will go in the front of the calendar. And I will show you the way these all layer together towards the end of the video. I know this video was really long. This one was just like, I decided to go all in, and so I hope you guys don't mind a longer video where I'm really explaining what I'm doing. Maybe if it's too long, you could always watch on a higher speed, and then I might sound a little funny, but it'd get you through the video longer. I'll also try to put chapters in here so you can get through the video a little bit easier. So here is a photo idea for you. This is Andrew, and he is in a shirt that belonged to my husband when my husband was in the Marine Corps. I cannot believe that this shirt fit my husband when he entered the Marine Corps. It is crazy. So we were cleaning out our bedroom. We came across this shirt, and my husband wanted to keep it. And then my son wanted it. And so I said, well, why don't you give it to Andrew and he'll grow into it. And then that's a way that we can keep it. And Andrew loves it. He loves the shirt. And I wanted to take a photo of him when he first got it. And so that later when he's grown into it more, I can take a photo and see it. Years ago, my family, they gave him a shirt, and it was a Mustang shirt that one of their kids wore. And I remember it as a kid. They're kind of my adopted church family. I spent a lot of time with them as a kid. And I remember one of them wearing it, and when they were getting rid of some things, they gave me this shirt, and it was kind of like a joke, like, because I love Mustangs, so it was kind of a joke. But I gave it to Andrew, and when he first started wearing it, it literally was below his knees, and it was so funny. It was so big on him, but he loved it, and we've had it for now like 6 or 7 years, and he fits into it now. It fits him normal, and it's so raggedy, it's so torn up. But I wish that all those years ago I would have took a photo of him in it when he first got it, and then I could have done a this and that, or before and after, or like a throwback kind of photo. So I wanted to do this with the Marine Corps shirt. And then, of course, it's just fun because since my husband was in the service and a Marine, it's fun to see him in this, and then he can keep that shirt, and I don't feel like it's just sitting in a drawer collecting dust. So anyways, a fun idea for you if you are looking for just a fun idea in documenting those different little moments that we don't often think about until after the fact. So I'm going to play a little music as we do the next part of this layout. I will dive into cutting up all of those photos from outside and showing you how I'm going to add those to my album this month.
Birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. All the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
I used the 6x8 page protector, and it has 2x2 squares, and I cut up all of the floral ones. I added those circles, and then that chipboard says Garden Goodness, and then I took the circles and I added small stories to those circles. I had exactly enough to do that. And then I also used that yellow polka dot card that said May. I used the rest of that to add to this, and I really love the way it came out. These are just photos from all of the different plants we have outside. I have a friend that gave me some succulents from her grandpa's garden. I knew her grandpa, and when her grandpa passed away, she gave me a few, and those are really finally starting to bloom, and it was fun to tell that story. And then I used a felt tip pen. It is one actually from Ali Edwards, but it's like the American Craft felt pen that you can get. It's pretty popular. So now I'm taking this page protector and I end up cutting it down so it's a 6x12. Originally, I was going to leave it a little bit larger, but I realized that I didn't have that many photos of doing the kitchen stuff. It was more stressful than I thought it was going to be. So there's not a lot of pictures. I think probably we can all relate. When things are stressful, we probably forget to take those photos. And so there's not that many of them. So I knew I didn't need a really large page protector. So this ended up being 6x12, another design A style, but that's not originally what I had thought it was going to be. So I just did photos in this, and then I'll do a couple cards. I'll do some journaling on this. And then that will be that story. I will also put in my Avery index tabs, and you will also see me do all the stamping for my first album. I like to do all of the stamping for my Avery index tabs at the end of the album. So then I go back and I will share that, because once I figured out this system that I do, it made stamping those index tabs so much easier. And I actually don't mind doing it now. I used to dread stamping those index tabs, and I would put it off forever. So I'm going to use some more of that house pattern paper, and then I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to add this chipboard. This is around the house, so it was so perfect and matched this pattern paper perfectly. I do the same thing where I don't put it right in the middle. I put it down a little bit lower, and that works out perfectly. And then I will put another one of those house cards on the back, and maybe this will be where I put some journaling, or I will add the journaling to some of the photos. And I don't know why I always try to make those. Oh, I add a chipboard. I add another piece of chipboard here, so I'll do the journaling somewhere else. I don't know why I always try to make the 3x4 cards or pattern paper fit when it won't fit, instead of just trimming it down. I'm always like, just trim it down so it fits. There's always one 3x4 pocket that is slightly smaller than 3x4. So you always have to trim it down. Okay, so that is the pages that are going to be extra, and you're going to see them here. I think I'm going to put them in my album here and show you. So this is the month of May. And we have the everyday kind of photos in here. We have my divider in here. And then we're going to slip in all of my pockets and pages into here. So we will do that now. There really isn't any rhyme or reason to the way I put in the extra stories. I really base that on just the way they're going to layer together. I love flipping through our Project Life albums and seeing all the different sizes and the way the page protectors fit together. What I realized here is I had quite a few that were the width of 6 inches. Now, I do have one other insert that I'm going to put into May, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. So I knew that I could break up the 6-inch page protectors with the other one I'll put in there. And then this is all of June. So, I already set up June. So I have some things in there. I have not printed my photos yet. It is July 6th, and I just have not got around to printing those. I'll probably do that next week, and then I can drop those photos in. So this is what I have left. I ended up not using this page protector. And at first I was going to use them for these photos of Andrew, but I decided not to do that because I have this layout of Violet that I want to do, and it will be a either 9x12 or a 12x12. So I know that that's going to go in the album, but by doing that, I know that I'm going to have another side to do. Like I'll have the back of this. So I decide to do those pictures of Andrew in the yard on the back side of this page of Violet. So that will be an insert. I'm leaning towards doing 9x12. So I'm going to use that rainbow paper, that plaid paper, and then those two photos will be Violet. And then I need to pick out some paper here for these photos for Andrew. So I want to use the same paper, but some of it's a little bit pink and I don't know, a little maybe more girly. So I picked out, I want to use this card from the kit and then the bicycle paper and the green, which will go perfect. He's doing yard work with Esau, and then that Better Together strip. And so both of those, I believe, will be 9x12. That's what I'm leaning towards. And then I can put those in May, and it'll break up the 6-inch page protectors and give it a little bit more variety. So this is what I have left of what I pulled to use. There's a couple sheets that I didn't use at all. You can see here, and I'll just stick those right back into the paper pack. It'll be fine. I didn't end up cutting any of that up. This stuff that is left, I will keep in my album in case I need to do anything else with the layouts or the journaling. And then whatever scraps I have left, I will just put back in the paper pack. So here is April. I will need to do all the journaling for April. There's my April calendar. So if you haven't seen me stamp that, you see that. I have that 6x8 photo of Esau I need to do some stuff with. And then here is May, and I love the way that came out. Here's June. I'll get my June photos printed and then drop those in and be able to finish that up. So even though I'm slightly behind on this, I haven't really worked on this in a couple weeks, I'm not really behind. It's not something that I'm totally stressed out about. So the next thing I need to do, and the thing that will wrap this video up, is I need to get all of my items transferred into July, and then you're going to see a sneak peek of what I'm going to use in the month of July. So I'm just going to go in, and I like just having all of this set up where I have my Design A page protectors, my calendar, and then my divider. These dividers are Project Life dividers from when Becky Higgins did Project Life core kits. They are the Clementine dividers. You cannot get them anymore, and I'm devastated because this is next year will be the last year I have these dividers. When they were going on clearance and I knew that they were retiring, I bought like 12 packs of them, and I have this pack left, and next year will be my last year of having them, and you just can't find them anymore, which really is devastating because I love them and they just tend to match really well no matter what I'm using. They really match. Like my May one is yellow and my June one is blue, and I wasn't trying to match them. So it's just funny that that's it. That's all I have. So I have my pages in here. These are the Design A pages, and then the calendars and the dividers. Now this is the items that I am using for July. I've slowed this way down so that I could chat through this. I am using some paper from Photo Play. It is a brand, and I'm using 2 different paper packs. I'm using the Stars and Stripes, and then there's another one that I'm using. And I'm using these because my workshop for June for Life Simply Documented, my Blessed to Scrap workshop, used these paper packs. And here is the first layout, and I'm actually going to use these layouts in my album in July. You will see them. I know what photos are going on here. I've already taken them because we've already had 4th of July. But this is the workshop that is exclusive to Life Simply Documented. If you're interested in joining Life Simply Documented, you would see this workshop. There is a link in the description below. It is my Blessed to Scrap workshop that I do every month. It's $14.99 and you get the workshop. And then you get to be a part of Life Simply Documented, where I do several other projects every single week in that group. We have a Facebook group. You don't have to be a part of the Facebook group. And then we also have a website where everything is. So thank you so much for joining me for this video. Here are 2 other videos on the screen for you. And I will be back in tomorrow's video, which will hopefully be a scrapbook traditional layout. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I will catch you in my next video.